So the question I had this week, the general question was, what is the role of school in society? Then I thought of my specific questions. The first one is our current educational system adequately fulfilling the goals set out by Mr. Washington? In a word, no. I don't think it is. I think some places are doing better than others, but overall, I think that our educational system is really lacking in some areas, maybe because of lack of funding, maybe because, administration won't allow it, I don't know. But I feel like there could be modifications made to make it better. Mr. Washington said, secondary education should be determined by the needs of the society to be served, the character of the individuals to be educated, and the knowledge of educational theory and practice available. In today's world, I think that there are certain skills that people really need that maybe they didn't before. I think that graphic design and professional writing are things that everybody should take. I took a graphic design class as part of another major, and it has come in handy in every single aspect of my education. Learning how to use Illustrator and InDesign and Photoshop, learning the different color combinations and how to make things pleasing to the eye in such a technologically and visual world that we live in today is really important, and things like that. Let's see. He says, the purpose of democracy is to organize society that each member may develop his personality primarily through activities designed for the well-being of his fellow members and of society as a whole. This, again, is, I believe that the things he talked about gender equality and at the same time, individualism. If a girl wants to take a sewing class, or a boy for that matter, wants to learn the basics of home running, which everyone really should know because everyone's going to be living somewhere at some point, is a really great life skill. And as other people I've talked to have pointed out, the school system today isn't super big on useful life skills like how to manage money, how to sew a button, how to change a tire, stuff like that. And it is only through attention to the needs of various groups of individuals as shown by aptitudes, abilities, and aspirations can the secondary school secure from each pupil his best efforts. I completely believe that's true. In my high school in Utah, I came from high school in California and moved to Utah. They held all sorts of cool classes that, for example, forensic science. And it still covered the basics of science, but focused on a more forensic view, and it was really cool. And they had sewing classes and I think a couple cooking classes, that kids can take to be more individual. And I really do believe that that would have a big influence on a student's performance in those classes. The next question I asked about the reading was, are Mr. Washington's goals of preparing students in all those aspects realistic, let alone possible? Well, I don't know. Honestly, to be completely honest, I don't know. Maybe there is some magical combination of school and home and society that would make all these things possible in a school setting, but I have not discovered that yet. Now, I don't know that they are completely realistic. I believe that they're pretty high standards that he's setting. The average kid in Idaho spends about 7 hours in class, which is about, if you start class at 8 a.m., it goes until 3 p.m. So I don't feel like it's a matter of increasing school time, because I don't think that that's really the answer. But on reading up on Finland and other countries' priorities, I believe that we could maybe rearrange how we could do things. So that answers my next question. If we are not making these objectives a reality, then what modifications need to be made so that they are being met? Well, I think the first thing to do, again, we can't really increase the time that kids are going to be in school. It's already a long time in most of the day, And I believe that we need to reorganize maybe the educational priorities. For example, make some room for some individual classes that kids can take, and prioritize maybe some recess time. I also believe that classes should dial down the homework, honestly. It just doesn't seem to be helpful to me. They can have like homework that you can do for practice if you'd like to, but students today have way too much homework on their plates, and a lot of it is mostly busy work. So maybe we could revamp that and just make the most out of the time we have. Instead of increasing the time and maybe not using it as efficiently anyways, we could stick with the time that we have with the students and try to make it more efficient, and as efficient as we can, so that we can accommodate most of these needs that Washington is setting out. Independence-wise, I believe that states should be in charge of their own schools' standards. If more of the decisions about curriculum and things like that are local, then the parents of these students and the people who actually know them will be able to make decisions to really individualize each school's curriculum for the population that they have. And again, I think that that's part of sparking a kid's interest, is getting him some classes where he really feels like he's learning something of use to him or of interest, really. So again, that's the broaden options part. To broaden options, I believe that more individual classes with a broader scope, for example, the forensic science class still teaches the science that the kids need to know, but also includes these cool details of forensic science for kids who maybe want to grow up to be a police officer, a detective, whatever. They also had a lot of other things that were just really cool. You could take a class in school that at the end you would end up having your nursing assistant's certificate. I did that and I absolutely loved it. And it satisfies science credits, but you also get your CNA certificate. It's just awesome. Anyways, that's all for this week.